What is most irksome is the fact that the BJP had earlier taken a very strong position on this. And joining us for a program at that time was this man, Arvind Gupta. He's not looking to the camera this evening. He is the head of the IT department of the Bharatiya Janata Party, known to have very liberal views on internet freedom. I'm surprised his party has taken the position that it has. Also with us is Apar Gupta. He's an advocate and a strong voice for internet freedom. Let's take a look at what, and I want Arvind, for you most importantly, to look carefully at this. Here's what the government lawyer told the Supreme Court. Considering the reach and impact of the medium, leeway be given to the government to legislate and frame rules. On the internet, every individual is a director, producer and broadcaster, and a person can send offensive material to millions of people at the same time in nanoseconds with just the click of a button. The lawyer goes on to add, and I just want to quote over here, institutions working, whether it's a television, paper or cinema, these have an institutional approach. There's a check like a pre-censorship for films and TVs, but in the internet, there is an individual approach. There's no check, no balance or license. This is the government's lawyer in the Supreme Court. They also say, yes, it is possible that you can consider this to be draconian, but we need it to protect the people of this country. Now, Arvind, I remember very clearly, and I hope you do too.
Absolutely.
When there was this incident in Mumbai, and those girls who came to be called the Facebook girls had put out some comments on Bala Sahib Thackeray, and the law came down on them. You were venting, you were furious, and you said that Section 66A is way too ambiguous, way too loosely defined, and it needs to be done away with. Now, your government in the court is saying exactly what Kapil Sibal was saying.
No. That's absolutely far from the truth, actually. See, you just conceded that the government's lawyers have said that this law is draconian in some water.
No, but they're justifying
hold on.
that it needs to stay.
Rahul, let me complete that, right? What needs to stay is where the people can be harmed. And the government has defined that. What is grossly offensive? Where the national
but that definition was the problem.
No.
Can I take a look at what Section 66A is? Let me just put that. No, once again. You know the law. I want to put it out for our viewers just for a moment.
Rahul, but
take a look at. I will allow you to speak.
Please,
but take a look at some of the words that come under the definition of what Section 66A can find offensive. Offensive messages through a computer or any communication device like a phone or tablet. And it goes on to say that a conviction can fetch a maximum of 3 years in jail, and also a fine. Every person who retweets and reposts a fake or a defamatory content can be booked. Remember, when people are putting out stuff, very often they don't know whether or not something is fake, defamatory, real, not real. Social media service providers like Facebook and Twitter are liable under the same Criminal Liability Act. And take a look at this. Any information which causes annoyance, inconvenience, danger, obstruction, insult, injury, criminal intimidation, enmity, hatred or ill will by the use of a computer can see me end up in jail. I don't know what you will take offense to. You can find my questions offensive.
This is all correct, and we've always talked about this in the past, and we'll continue to talk about it in the future. But let me tell you what the stance has been. The stance has been individual freedom and freedom of speech and expression should not be harmed. The government has taken that stand and will continue to take that stand. As a party also, we've always said that 66A in its current form, okay, is draconian in nature. And 66A, what is that the government has said in the court is that there needs to be a law which protects the sovereignty, the national security of the country. Whether it's 66A or some other law needs to be decided by the parliament.
Once again. You're not saying what the government lawyer said in the Supreme Court. I have his entire comments before the judges in front of me. He says here, he says here, in case of the internet, it is very easy to invade someone's privacy. Morphing of images can be done and put on the internet, and some rumor can be spread through the internet, which can create social disorder in society. It is not possible to outrage someone's modesty through printing TV, but it can be done easily through the internet. Here is the sum and substance of what the government is saying. They're saying Section 66A in its current form is okay. But Rahul, this is what you were opposing just 16 months ago.
See, you are asking a wrong question. Let me ask, and what you are just quoting is, some pieces of what the attorney explained.
I'm quoting to you the operative part of what the attorney said.
Yeah, but let me explain to you what the question was. What is the question, and then the answer will come. The question is, do we need a law the government's response has been, yes, we need a law, and there are special circumstances for which we need the law.
Can I quote to you, Arvind, what Prime Minister Narendra Modi, when he was candidate, Modi said,
very well,
no, but our viewers might not remember this, he called it fascist in its current form.
You have been quoting and you have been taking 2-3 lines, which is a very good habit of the media, and let me explain to you what the government stance has been. The government stance has been freedom of speech and expression is paramount, but national security, public order is also paramount, Indian sovereignty is also paramount, and we cannot promote...
This is rhetoric. I want to bring Apar Gupta in. Just 1 second, just look at this, look at this. Here is the government's, here is the BJP's press release put out into when this matter came up on the 6th and 7th of September 2013. Just zoom into this, please. The draconian nature of the clause demonstrates the fascist mindset of the party leading this government,
because
that's the Congress, and seeks to enforce emergency-like curbs on free speech on a new age medium like cyberspace. And this is what they were saying just 16 months ago. Now, let's bring Apar in also.
But let me
give the young man a chance.
I will give him the due chance, very good friend. But more importantly, please understand, the 66A was being misused for political reasons. Out of the 360...
Now, how do we know your party won't misuse it?
We have not done that.
No, you haven't had a chance yet.
No. Everybody, 9 months we've been in power. The intent is very clear. We understand this medium more than anybody else. Today, the budget and the Twitter-thons that were done on this medium, we understand and appreciate this medium. And there's a huge support base that we have out there. We don't want to discredit this medium.
But why should you have a power which you didn't want the UP to have? Let me bring Apar Gupta.
We don't want any power.
Give him also a chance.
I will give him all the chance. But I have to complete one sentence, which is very important. See, we have always said this. You said that I came on your show and I started by saying that national security is always paramount and it will remain paramount. So where section 19(2), which is reasonable restrictions apply, we want to take the right steps in the right direction so that whatever is defined as reasonable restrictions in the offline world get applied to the online world.
Once again, Apar,
and this is a step in that direction.
If you look at what
just your time. Just 2 short points.
Yes.
The first point which I will make is that the BJP's history with Section 66A is much further back than what's been right now being discussed in the Supreme Court. In fact, 66A came about in 2008 by Amendment Act from a standing committee of Parliament, which the chairperson was Mr. Nikhil Kumar, and he was a member of the BJP. Secondly, the point with respect to we feel it's draconian, it's being abused rather than the section itself is completely correct. I think it's misplaced. Firstly, national...
I never said the section is correct. Let me correct that.
Okay, then please bring an Amendment Act. Please bring an Amendment Act.
And the government has conceded that. The government has conceded
right
in
now
the
you're defending the law in the manner in which it exists.
Let me
the government lawyer Arvind in the Supreme Court is defending the law as it exists.
Rahul, let me be very categorically clear. We are not defending...
National security itself...
You are. That's what your lawyer is saying. Are you saying that your view is different from the government's?
No.
Let me try and pin you down over here.
Let me say it very clearly. The question was, do you need a law? The question was, do you need a law?
Do you need a law in its existing form, and the government is justifying that?
That's not the question. It's up to the court to see whether this law is constitutional.
Apar, is he misleading us?
No,
that's incorrect. Merely because a law is constitutional does not mean it's desirable. The Constitution is prescribing upper limits for legislation. It does not mean the legislature actually touches those limits.
What is the government's role so far?
Secondly,
to say whether the law is required or not. Yes, the law is required.
Secondly, cyber terrorism, online terrorism, all of that is already covered under distinct offences. Secondly,
you're saying we don't need a law like 66A at all.
66A does
now
not
he
have
says he needs
reason.
a law.
No.
Because I have...
It may not be 66A.
The only whisper of any rationale behind the law itself is one line in a parliamentary standing report, which is essentially to say that it is to prevent spam messages.
Can I quote from Arun Jaitley, who was leader of the opposition in the Rajya Sabha? He made a speech in 2012, and I just want to quote from what he says.
On May 17th, yes.
He says, it's extremely difficult, if not impossible, to control technology. It would not even be desirable to do so. He goes on to say that the days of censorship are over, and if the internet existed, the emergency of 75 would have been a big fiasco. And then he says that 66A has grossly problematic words like grossly offensive, menacing, blasphemous, defamation, harassing. He says this is way too ambiguous. This is Arun Jaitley.
And I agree with Mr. Jaitley.
No, but why does your lawyer not agree in the Supreme Court?
Hold on, let me complete, Rahul. And what we are trying to say is, give it the right roadmap. Say there is 19A, and these are the conditions under which a law, whether it's 66A or a new law that the government has to decide, should apply. Whether they should be, the question has been whether there should be a law, and the answer has been yes, there should be a law, and these are the circumstances the law should be there. And what are the circumstances which are as defined in section 19(2) of the Constitution? The interest and sovereignty and integrity of India, the security of the state, friendly relations with foreign states, public order.
Okay,
and
I want to look at some of the responses that we've had, Apar, on internet, because everyone's going wild over
but
what.
let me be very
let's take a
categorical.
look at reactions.
And
these are some from those who support you as well.
I would support any negative reactions, because the media has been highlighting that the government supports 66A. The government has supported. There is a need
One
for a law.
U-turn after another. The BJP is
government has
Congress.
supported.
No 66A hashtag. No secret net blocking.
Let me be very clear.
Let's take a look at some more reactions. One second. Let's take a look at the reactions. Here's Ankit Lal. He's from the Aam Aadmi Party. There must be a disclosure. He says the government cannot give exact definition of grossly offensive, but wants to curb the freedom of expression.
There is no intent.
More reaction. Saikat Datta says ask for no 66A because it deprives you of a voice. Ensure there is no secret net blocking so that voices cannot be deleted secretly.
Absolutely, and let me again clarify.
Kamlesh Singh, he says now that the rail budget is over, let's get united to rail against 66A, Kapil Sibbal's lunacy that the new government wants to continue with.
So
here is Rishikesh Talkies. What?
Richa Kaul.
Okay,
So
Richa Kaul Patte.
we don't want to set the
internet
example
is a
set
tool,
by
it's a
Kapil Sibbal.
public space, and to speak in that public space is our right. N66A. Those are the voices
I'll
on
tell
that.
you what's more
Till a
worrying.
short while ago,
Apar,
you
let
were
me-
on their side.
No, I'm always going to be
Now
on this
you're
side.
not on their side.
I'm
Your
always
lawyer
got-
is not on their
No,
side.
let me, Apar, can I please
please.
complete this? Because see, we don't want to inherit the lunacy of anybody from the Congress regime. Let me be very clear. And the government has conceded there are two processes going on. That there is a under the judicial commission, there is a relook at how social media should be handled in the new world. Secondly, the lawyer has also conceded there is a committee that will be formed to relook at a need for a law. That kind of matches what is going to happen in offline world with the online world. That will remove
Some
all
of the internet crusaders being
all the
slightly
ambiguity.
unreasonable.
No, not at
because
all.
there is a reality that the social
So
media
are
has
we-
a propensity of causing possibly riots. We saw what happened in Muzaffarnagar. We saw the trouble also in Bangalore. We
I
can't
just
forget
want to know
that.
one answer. If there is national security and somebody is doing rioting, inciting riots, does the government have right to act upon
No,
that
but
or
what
not?
this does essentially is, if tomorrow somebody puts out something against Mohan Bhagwat or Narendra Modi, you can arrest Apar and lock him up. That's what Kapil Sibbal did. That's what the
misuse of
UPA
the law
did.
always, and that's the reason we always felt this law needs to be relooked at. And
But you
that's
haven't done that in just yet.
Just two short points.
I'm out of time,
Where are all of us coming from who are stating that this law is unjust? We are coming from the perspective that when people themselves are being enabled to publish, write, on the internet, it is democratizing and furthering their rights to freedom of speech and expression. Secondly, with respect to any kind of criminal offenses which are being caused online, please go ahead and prosecute them. However, let those offenses be the same offenses which exist under the Indian Penal Code. Defamation is so well defined there. It has safeguards inbuilt. There are 10 exceptions.
Apart, we just agreed. We said let's extend what is
I
applicable.
do not think so.
What is
That's not the line. That's not the line
What
the
is I'm
lawyers
trying-
have
what
taken
what
in
I'm
court.
trying to say is this is the step in that direction. What is
I do
happening
not-
what are reasonable restrictions in the offline world should be applied to the online world.
Okay.
And there is a need for the law to recognize that.
No,
That's all.
but no one has a problem with that. Of course, there should be reasonable restrictions, but the reasonable
is what the
restrictions,
lawyer has
as
said.
they are defined right now, are vague, ambiguous,
And that's
too
what the
loosely
lawyer has
defined, which the
conceded that.
lawyer is
Has
not
conceded
prepared to
that.
work on. He's
The lawyer has
justifying the
conceded.
existence
See,
of the
the
law
lawyer has
in the
conceded that.
manner
Let's
that
look
it
a
is.
little-
The lawyer has conceded that.
Let's look a little beyond this. For instance, when the internet itself is framed and you look at it, do you see it as a democratizing force or as a medium which is completely unregulated, which is dangerous inherently? Because that is what most governments are looking at from this.
Okay, I'm out of time now, gentlemen.
Democratizing whatever we are doing, it's disintermediating information, it's a direct connect, and we need to.
I hope
make
this view
sure-
is carried forward.
No, that's his view. He's clearly divergent from the view that the government lawyer has taken. And I hope that the sense that you're giving out is also the sense the government takes to the courts, because so far that hasn't happened. Regardless of what you're saying, in the Supreme Court, the BJP
centers
lawyer
in
is arguing for 66A in the way that it exists.
No,
That's the reality.
The centre's intent has been very clear. There is no restriction on personal freedom, political comments, and any other.
So I'll hold you by your words. In case the challenge does not succeed, you bring an amendment act and you delete 66A.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.